And we're gonna go live early because it's the Sunday live show. I'm gonna double up with that intro right there because we all know it usually starts out, "What's up, YouTube?" Coming at you live on July the 21st. It's been a long time since I've done a live show. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, has it been a little wild here lately. I apologize for not having a live show, but I figured I'd come on early and maybe stay a little late because I have missed a couple of weeks here. It's been a little crazy. Had to take a research and development trip down to Florida to do some work in a laboratory down there and building out new products, y'all. Just saying, new products. Then immediately from there, come back in town. Then we went to the plant in Kentucky. Then from there we went to Indiana. Went to Indianapolis. Then went to Knox, Indiana. Then Anderson, Indiana. Then back to Knoxville, and then snuck away to Gatlinburg for the weekend with my wife and kids and our friends from Memphis that came up. Now back home. Tomorrow, the Southwestern Fertilizer Conference. So, whoo! It's been a little crazy, a little hi-ya here lately. But we're here, and we're live, so we're going to make the best of it. I know, Alan just put out a video here, unfiltered, so I'm sure we'll have some people tuning in after they make it through that video, which I need to sit down and watch it right now, but I have not had the opportunity yet. I'm sure Mr. Allen is over there doing something fun. I am still getting everything a little squared away on my end, so that way I can watch and see what's going on with the live chat and the camera at the same time. So here we go. For those of you that are just tuning in, I'm going to give you a little bit of rundown of how this works. Typically, how this works is it's an open format, meaning you ask questions, I provide answers. My background is turf grass management. I prefer to answer questions regarding or involving staying in the turf grass realm. If we do get into some plants, that's fine. I can handle some annuals. I can handle some perennials. I can handle some woody plants. But just between you and me, I personally have the most experience with turf grass. That being said, with this show, I do not know everything. Far from it. Like I said, I've been a turf grass manager for the last 10 years in both golf and professional lawn care, so that tends to be where I have the most experience. All right, everybody, so again, how this works, you ask questions, I provide answers. And real quick to kick things off, I will just go ahead and put this out here right now. If you would like to get a hold of me, whether it's the show before the show or the show after the show, usually you can find me hanging out at thelaundiscord.com. It's a Discord server where when I have free time, I hang out over there. You can shoot me an email at thegrassfactor@gmail.com. You can also find me on Instagram at thegrassfactor, and I also lurk over at the Lawn Forum. That being said, I do not participate actively a whole lot on the Lawn Forum. I tend to hide in the background because the guys there usually know more than I do about maintaining turf. So, now that we got that out of the way, I'm going to go back to the regular screen here. We'll get into the chat and see what kind of questions we got going in already. But wait a second. Before I do that, how can I forget? It's roll call. So we're going to jump over here and say hey to whoever was doing this first and foremost. And who is it? It was Lushy himself, Mr. Lush Lawns, getting on in there. How are you, Mr. Aaron? Glad you're here, buddy. Matt Anderson snuck on over. Mr. Basshole, he's down there throwing some lines, snipping, ripping lips down there in Louisiana, as they say. We got Gibby in here. Shane Brady, the hardest working man in lawn care. TLCA, the lawn care addicts, is hanging out here. We got RV Lawn Love. Nice to be on this end of the live stream. Hey, let me. You did great with Katie and the folks over at Picture Perfect Lawn Maintenance. They called me when they were on the way. They were super excited to be recording with you. RVA Lawn Love. Sid Barrett is here. What's going on, sir? We got Pink Floyd in the house. Richard Nettles, what's going on, good sir? Glad you're here. Schaefer Lawn Care and Property Maintenance. Longest half hour ever. I didn't make you wait a full half hour. I gave you about 16 minutes of wait time, and then we jumped on in, if you know what I'm saying. Striper Man, way up there in the Northeast. True Green Brothers for life. We've been there. We survived. We conquered. The Lawn Stripes is here. 888 Huskers from all the way over in Nebraska. What's going on, my man? How are you, sir? Eric Von Waddell is here. How are you, sir? Terry Finch, how are you? Dustin Keller, good evening to you, sir. Grace Ortiz, that's right. I got started a little early. Mr. Camillo, BB Camillo. B-Town's Most Wanted. That's what I'm saying. Ayo! I don't know what B-Town is, but you're the most wanted band there. I love it. I love it. Ben H. Tall Fescue Junkie. Mike Wassenauer. What's going on, man? Neil K is here. Josh Miller. Ben H. I already said that. J Pink. Catbird Feeder. Chris Waugh. Chip Dixon. Man, look at all these people in here. That is what I'm saying. I did not have any Red Bull at all. B-Town's Most Wanted. I am drinking a yerba mate. These are tasty. They kind of get you going. Ty Miller, what's going on, good sir? Got your email. Griddle Gal, Chris Elms is here. I'm alive and well. Phil Cagle's here. What's going on, man? Josh Miller wants to know, is 818 coming to the DIY market? That's a good question. How about this? After the show, Josh, I will, at the end of the show, I will make an announcement regarding the 818, and I will go live with something on the website to give you a little more information about it. Directly after the show. It's going to follow right after the show. I think it should be, it'll be some good stuff, if you know what I'm saying. Peg Junk, what's going on? Cow, Ben, y'all. And in September, we're out to Area 51. Man, that is funny. Oh, that is really, really funny. I kind of got a couple things here going, so bear with me. Magrian, I'm going to let it fly. Hey, man, welcome here. Picture Perfect Lawn Maintenance says Chili Dog. That's a good little inside joke we have going there. And it actually originated when we were leaving lawn ecology in 2018. There was a lady at the where were we? We were at the airport, and this lady was something extra, and she was ordering chili dogs and was not very nice to anybody else in and around that whole thing. So it was just kind of a funny thing. It was stuck. That's my new nickname, is Chili Dog. All right, so we're going to get into the questions here. I'm going to go up because I believe Party Girl 44 had the first question. When is X-Green going to be consumer available? X-Green is a real deal. Look at that, man. I like hearing that. That's good stuff. All right, and here we go. Juan Queen. Shar Queen, I'm glad you're here, sir. Seeing Dollar Spot here and there popping up every summer. I applied the Ringer and Turf Builder half rate about 27 days ago. Can I apply the Turf Builder again to push out the Dollar Spot? Yes, you can try. Absolutely. Just know, Party Girl, that if you got the conditions for a Dollar Spot to show up, it may be worth it to go ahead and apply a fungicide as well. But if you don't want to, yes, you can try applying more Turf Builder. You should be fine doing that. No problem at all. What's going on, Chris? How are you, good sir? What RTF, that is rhizomatous tall fescue, do you recommend? And I'll tell you exactly what I recommend, and this is because it's the only product I have experience with when it comes to rhizomatous tall fescues, and that is the products from Mountain View Seeds. A local distributor here, Dickens Turf, always stocked seeds from Mountain View Seeds, and so that's primarily exclusively what I use the last 2-3 years in business, and I have to say it was really good stuff. You kind of see some interesting things with it. I will say year number 1, you tend to get your most aggressive rhizomatic activity. Year number 2, it's nowhere near as strong. I have it in my front yard now to be able to watch, and this is what's interesting. It did not appear to have the same rhizomatic activity. However, when it got hot outside, followed by significant amounts of rainfall, it seemed to kind of show back up. And it was after a period of stress, then followed by heavy rains, that the rhizomatic activity seemed to return. Why that is, I don't know. It may have something to do genetically with the plant, where it faces that period of stress, and then you'll start to get that physical response of it, and that physical response may manifest itself in rhizomatic activity. Say that 10 times fast. Here we go. I have white tips on my St. Augustine grass and my zoysia. I sharpen my blade and still getting them. Is it the summer heat? Bird dog, it could be. It could be how much you're cutting off at one time. And here's the other thing. If you don't have enough horsepower with your motor, just the pure density of the stand of St. Augustine and zoysia may slow the blade rotation enough that that's actually what's contributing to the tearing, and not so much just the sharpness of your blade. So I know it's probably not what you want to hear, but it's just zoysia is extremely difficult to cut, extremely difficult because of the density. You can even see in some of the videos with Alan. Alan can have a tough time with St. Augustine sometimes just because of the density of the turf. So chances are, if I had to guess, just looking in, and you've got sharp blades for sure, the heat is really going to help drive it. I don't see that being a major contributor to white tips. However, I think just the resistance of trying to cut it would contribute to it. So I hope that makes sense. What's going on, Richard Freeman? Yard Therapy, what's going on? Mr. Kosinski, how are you, sir? Lamar Ware, woo, all the way from South Dakota. Bradley Levine, Gardener guy with the lawn forum, same one going back to the 90s with Eric ELM and Grassmaster. No, that was the lawn site, but Grassmaster, I wish, Patrick was here. I should shoot him a text and tell him to jump on here. But Garden Earth guy, the lawn forum, a lot of those guys have moved over to there away from lawn site. In fact, you'll see Green Doc from time to time pop in over there, and also here in the live chat too. In fact, Garden Earth guy, I had Green Doc on here. Let's see, Matt Anderson finally got to go fishing. That's what I'm saying. St. Louis Lawn Guru, what's going on, good sir? Got smacked with some Rhizoc. Woo! Just put down the second app of Prop Azox, curative rate 14 days apart. How long should I keep throwing it down? If you're running the full rate of azoxy and propiconazole, you could probably back that down to every 28 days, unless you see breakthrough happening faster. So, yeah, I would probably break that down to 28 days. What is this going on? The Hungry Southerner is not necessary, but hey, look at this. Look at this. Big shout out to the Hungry Southerner for hooking me up with some NASA gear. For those who don't know, I'm a big fan of space. We named Carbon X after SpaceX because we're big fans of Elon Musk and his entrepreneurial spirit. So we use that as some internal motivation, is what keeps our company going. And naturally, as a result, I'm also a huge fan of NASA, right? Because obviously, if I wasn't a fan of NASA, I probably wouldn't have got into SpaceX, but I am. And so big thank you to the Hungry Southerner for hooking me up with the sweet NASA merch. That's what I'm saying. So yeah, Terry, I would stretch that to 28 days, call it good. Super soup rack algae problem when big rains come through. Growing like crazy, kills grass when it dries. Florida sand, pH 5. Woo! Bermuda. Put down lime and iron. Anything else to help? First and foremost, if you're having algae problems, are you in full sun? Because typically algae is more opportunistic. So if you're and is it algae or is it moss too? So first and foremost, immediately correct your soil pH. Get your pH up closer to a 7. Heavy applications of Lushy. You stop, sir. The Hungry Southerner, I don't need that either. Y'all stop it. Stop it. Stop. We're not even going down that road right now. Get your pH up first. So, depending on what your soil test says, I would either go just calcitic lime or dolomitic lime if you need the additional magnesium. Getting some carbonates in there would be a big benefit to raising your pH and not to say that will solve your algae problem, but it will help take away that favorable part of the development of it. The second part that's going to be a contributor of it is going to be water, right? You can't help that. The third one would be heat, right? So it needs adequate space, water, and temperature in order to develop. You've got to take away one of those. Hey, listen, Connor, unnecessary. Stop it, y'all. Y'all are making me nervous. I'm starting to get sweaty over here. I look like... I love y'all. Man, this community means so much to me, and I'm not going to lie. I'll be perfectly honest right now. I'm having a really hard time with YouTube right now. I feel myself wanting to step away from it, and a lot of that is because now I have a product that is offered on YouTube, so I get to see the way people talk about it, and I don't enjoy that at all, because obviously, Carbon X and any of the products we produce at Carbon Earth they're my babies. Literally, they're like children to me. I put years into getting the formulation to where it is, and then ultimately the business being built out. The Hungry Southerners, stop it! Yes, I want it on a rocket and send it to the moon. We don't have to do that tonight. And so when you read things like, I just saw Grass Daddy just put a video out comparing another product, and people were saying he sold out, and that Carbon X was designed for the YouTube community, and you see all this just negative feedback about it, and I know I have no control over that, but it makes me, Striper Man, dude, y'all, we're not doing this tonight. Y'all stop. I'm so emotionally attached to what we're doing at Carbon Earth. I try not to read those things. And I guess if there's any one thing I wanted to clear up, and it was that, and I mean this with love, I never wanted Carbon X to go to the DIY market, and it wasn't for any other reason other than, part of it was that I don't know the market at all. And then the other thing too is that I didn't want to read so much because I knew there would be a lot more interaction about it, and I knew emotionally I would struggle with it, because it's like my kid. It'd be like the same thing as somebody saying, your child is a sellout, and it's just it was created for the enjoyment of purely generating profit. Lushy, stop it, man! If we make Matt sweat enough, his shirt will be sitting with the sweat. And y'all gonna make my hair fall out. I look crazy right now. Look at this. My hair's falling out. This is about to kill me. So anyway, all I was gonna say is that I never anticipated for Carbon X to go to the DIY market. And, I designed the product purely for the professional lawn care applicator that did not have the ability to spray liquids. And so it's not a product to replace a liquid. It's not Glenn, quit it. Quit it, Glenn. It's not a product to replace a liquid. It was a product to give a guy that runs granular in his business to have a product that contained as much in it as possible, because so many of the granular products that are sold through a commodity-based market are just NPK and filler. So even if we look at some of the more, I'm not going to mention a product by name, but we'll talk about like a granular product that's out right now that's in the DIY market that would, I guess, be a competitor. Backing into the formulation of that, it still contains 25% filler in it. And from a lawn care professional perspective, I wanted to use all of that filler material with something that would provide an added value, an added benefit for that turf professional. So anyway, y'all, I love this. I love the community. I really do. And I can't thank y'all enough. I think I got all that out of my system, so I'm going to go back to answering questions now. It's 9:02. I'm going to get to questions. I got to get to questions. I bounced down to the bottom. All right, let's see here. Woo, man, we got all kinds of stuff coming in. Let's see. Do you recommend using a wetting agent during a turf type tall fescue renovation? Neil, it depends on if you have it depends on if you have an irrigation system, and I'll leave it at that. Personally, even in my business, I use them not just every time, but I did use them a lot whenever I was doing a renovation on a non-irrigated property, especially if it was an irrigated property of size where I knew they didn't have ideal head-to-head coverage. I would use a wetting agent there, or just a property in general that was not irrigated, that was undergoing a renovation, or a really big aerate and overseed job. So, maybe they had like 70% coverage and I was trying to take them to 100% coverage. So that's all I would say. It's totally up to you. If you feel like you're not going to be able to keep up with watering, then I think it's a great idea. B-Town's Most Wanted. I have Pythium in my yard, but too broke to buy Mephi. Would Gly in the area to kill that grass, kill the Pythium too? You would take out the host, but if you want something, I would probably go OSU Turf Man, quit. That's funny. That's super inside baseball right there, but that's funny. I would probably look at a phosphite. It may not have great curative effects, but it may give you enough protection to stop the development of it and keep you from losing your whole lawn. Again, if you're just looking for something purely experimental because you can't afford mefenoxam, I would go phosphite. And you do not need to glide those areas. Chances are, even in the fall, you'll still have, it may burn down 100% of your yard, but you'll still have anywhere between 50 and 80% return. So it's not worth completely renovating the whole thing just because you got a little bit of Pythium. I'm doing a lawn renovation and I would like to know when I have to seed. I am burning down the whole lawn and starting from scratch. I'm planting turf type tall fescue and I live near Chicago. Frank C., I don't know your weather patterns, but when you begin on a cooling trend, it looks like a consistent cooling trend, and we'll say your daytimes are above 80 and your night times are below 70, that would be a good time to go ahead and get starting. Heat will not affect seed germination. In fact, the hotter it is, the faster your seed will germinate. So let's get that clear right now. Just because it's 100 degrees outside doesn't mean a cool season grass will not germinate. The difficult part when it's 100 degrees outside is keeping enough moisture on that seed for it to germinate. So you can start as soon as you want. You just have to keep the water going correctly in order for it to be successful. I hope that makes sense. So chances are where you are in Chicago, as a general rule of thumb, I would say August, September time frame for you. Do you have a place for users to send before after photos? Would be great for your website. No, but I should put that on there. That's a great idea, Grass Daddy. That's a computer programmer right there. For all my IT guys in the show right now, raise your hand and real quick, hop on over to thelawndiscord.com. It is a place for IT professionals to come talk about lawn care. Or you don't have to be an IT professional. You may be an engineer. Hop on over. You may be just a regular guy that does HVAC. Hop on over. You may be another spray jockey. Hop on over. All right, now back to the show. Okay, here we go. Best defense against dog encounters after going through the gate and treating the backyard. Man, I do not know about best defense. Probably if you know there's a dog back in the backyard, maybe carry a treat or something, bacon or something, keep a bag of bacon. That way you can distract the dog with that. I will say that in my years of treating lawns, I've really only had one dog attack, and it was a cane corso, which is larger than a pit bull and looks like a pit bull. It actually looks like a gargoyle. And it came after me, and it got me really, really good on both legs. In fact, I thought the dog was going to kill me. And the only way I could get it to let go was I hit the dog. I could never, reach for its ears or anything. And I felt just disgusted even having to hit the dog. But it was trying to get me on the ground, and I knew the dog would try and kill me. And so finally, I was spraying urea and 3-way at the time. And I took the nozzle of my gun and I wedged it into his mouth, and I squeezed the gun to flood its mouth with this urea and 3-way, and that is what got him to let go. And the owner called him off. And when the owner called the dog's name, it took off running back to the owner. So I don't have anything specific that would be a great idea, but in that particular instance, I don't think it would have helped. I just at that point it was just pure survival and adrenaline. Now there's been some other times where I've gotten to the far end of a backyard, and then a German Shepherd will show up, and in an instance like that, typically what I try and do is find a dog toy in the backyard and throw it to it. So if you did have bacon on you, that would be a great time to offer the dog some bacon and get out of the way, hop the fence, something. So I wish I had a better answer for you, but I don't. I just don't have anything surefire on that. Man, I applied Bayer Granular. I forgot to mention that. I get nervous with foliar sprays, but that says dollar spot on it, so I used it 5 days ago. That's a good start. That is a good start. So I sprayed some Spectracide weed killer with sulfentrazone on a test area in the backyard to kill some nutsedge. Worked decent, but it's obvious not easy to blanket spray with the wand. With the backyard being in its slowly growing in, can I do a reduced rate of sulfentrazone with limited damage? Yes, so 4 ounces per acre is typically the rate that would be the reduced rate. Anything lower than that, then you're starting to look like what the mix rates would be for something like T-Zone, which contains triclopyr and sulfentrazone. And I think also the 2 ounce rate is in, depending on the rate of Q4 Plus that you run. So I think the Bermuda rate of Q4 Plus has only 2 ounces. Don't quote me on that. I'm trying to go off memory. I may be 100% wrong. But T-Zone, I do believe, is only 2 ounces. Surge, I do believe, is only 2 ounces. And you do not get nutsedge control with those products. You'll get tip burn, but you do not really get an effective rate of control. Here's what I would recommend. Now that we're past the summer solstice, where you've got some what I would call more mature nutsedge in the lawn, I would switch to your sulfonyl ureas. They're going to be safer, and you'll probably get a better kill rate with it. So what I mean by sulfonyl urea is Halciferon, Pro Sedge, Sedgehammer. Those are same product. I like Pro Sedge just because I like NuFarm. And then the other would be Solero, Imazosulfuron. That would be a great one that would offer very little to any damage at all. So that would be where I would go from this point forward. Matt G says, I tried the screwdriver test today and noticed that it only went in about 1 inch max. We had perhaps a 1/2 inch of rain a couple of days ago. How far do you think it should have been able to go in? I have clay soil and Bermuda grass. Matt G, that's kind of a loaded question, and I will tell you why. Because you are going, I need to know how much rain you've had leading up to that rain. Because your water table may have been completely exhausted where you've got no water in the soil until you're 10 feet deep. And then you get a 1/2 inch of rain, then you probably only got a 1/2 inch of area that you can drive the screwdriver into. So when it comes to watering, and especially the summer, it's about how deep can you drive the water, because that's how deep you can drive the roots. The roots will go looking for water. Now, that being said, if water's 10 feet deep, the plant is not going to survive while that root system is sent down attempting to hit 10 feet deep. Really, you need it in the top 6 inches, right? So if you only got it in a 1/2 inch, maybe take your shovel down and then see how your soil moisture is at about 6 inches. Chances are it's probably dry there too. And then when you get a 1/2 inch of rain, what happens is that your root system is going to shallow significantly, and that's not ideal. So what I would do is take you a couple waterings to really try and drive some water down, running long periods of time infrequently, or using something that has a surfactant like hydrotane or Turf 2 Max, Air 8, or a penetrant like Duplex, and apply that with your water, so that way that surfactant will allow it to move into the soil profile. That's kind of the big benefit of soil surfactants, is that even though you may have dried out soil, which we call hydrophobic, right? It's no longer accepting water to move into it. And that surfactant will allow water to move into it and then stay on top of your water from that point to maintain it. It's kind of a long question. It's just kind of a long answer for your question. Dandy Lawn and Maintenance says, can using a surfactant with weed control for lawns help burn the lawn? Yes, absolutely. So what a surfactant does is that it is going to cut the surface tension of your spray solution. Also, what a surfactant can do is allow for greater penetration. So if you think about it, if you just have droplets on individual grass blades, you may only have 10 droplets on a grass blade, whether it's a weed or a desirable turf grass. By using a surfactant, you only have 1 on the leaf, but it distributes across the entire leaf. So instead of just affecting the 10 drops that are on it, it's actually affecting the entire leaf blade. So it has a higher probability of affecting your desirable turf grasses. So long answer again to a question, can using a surfactant with weed control for lawns? Yes, it can help burn the lawn. Okay, that was not a question for me. All right, let me keep going here. Let's see. Dustin Keller says 400 square feet area. Oh, wait. I'm not going to sprig my backyard with hybrid Bermuda. I'm not going to live here long enough to do that. 400 square feet area of nothing but nut sedge from bad drainage, clogged culvert pipe. Left unchecked for years. Is the best method to get rid of it a sedge hammer with glyphosate or another option? Glyphosate is not effective on Carex species, so this is going to be your sedge varieties. What I would do is I would apply sedgehammer, a sulfonylurea, with something like sulfentrazone. If it were me, I would probably use an even more effective sulfonylurea, so Katana, flazosulfuron, or Monument, trifloxysulfuron, or Solero, imazosulfuron. Those are going to be more systemic with your sedges than just glyphosate would be. If you need to kick it up a notch, you can add sulfentrazone to that. Just go ahead and put it into your mind now. It's going to take multiple applications over multiple years to get rid of it. Glyphosate is not effective on sedgehammer until you get up really high concentrations, almost concentrate. Which walk-behind aerator would you recommend? I was thinking Billy Goat 25. Would you ever seed without aerating? Matt, I've done some seeding without aerating to varying degrees of success. Usually it comes out fine as long as the water's there. I know Picture Perfect Lawn Maintenance, they did some testing last year, and they, without a doubt, 100% said that the lawns they did not aerate, physically, mechanically aerate, and seed on top of, had fewer weeds that fall during the grow-in of that new seed. So, yeah, people do it all the time. You do not have to put holes in the ground to get grass to aerate, to get grass to germinate. All you need is adequate moisture, access to soil, your seed bed, and the appropriate temperatures, right? So, but in terms of an aerator, I will say I love Billy Goat. Reciprocating tines, I think is the appropriate way to aerate than more of a drum roller. I always use the drum roller, and it's not that anything's wrong with it. It's just getting your getting the number of plugs per square foot maxed out, and the Billy Goat allows you to do that. It's a great machine. Would love to have deep watering and feel that half-inch a couple of days should have been good enough. Do you think a soil conditioner would help? Yes, I do not think a half-inch a couple of days should be good enough at all. That's an arbitrary number, and it's leading you into a false sense of security. It's not. A half-inch a couple of days may not be enough given your conditions. Matt, I got a zoysia lawn, and it's got rye and fescue in it. What do you recommend to get those out of the lawn? I recommend Monument, trifloxysulfuron. Look at Puff's prep cut sneaking in down there with the same answer. That's what I'm talking about. Monument, trifloxysulfuron, easily best product on the market to get rid of cool season grasses out of warm season turf. Just put down some Humic 12 today, preparing for a lawn renovation in September. What starter fert do you recommend when I put my seed down? I'm planning on putting down GCI turf type tall fescue. It depends on what your soil test says. If you need phosphorus, then I would probably get something that contains monoammonium phosphate. If you do not need phosphorus, then I like the idea of putting down something humic based with it. So that way the phosphorus you do have in the soil can be plant available. It sounds like you're on the right track. But in terms of a starter fert, just something that contains monoammonium phosphate. Let's see here. Connor, I'm just reading your chat there. That was Matt on a tear that day. Let's see. Does quinclorac become rain fast? Intermittent rainstorms preventing me from spraying crabgrass. Yes. So it depends on the formulation, though. So let me make it clear. So I think it's BASF with Drying XLR8. XLR8 is formulated with a very specific inert ingredient to allow it to become rain fast. Is all Drive quinclorac rain fast? I do not think so. I want to say it has like an 8 to 12 hour window where Accelerate bumps that down to 4 hours. I think you'll have to refer to the label on that. But a good quinclorac label will tell you how long the interval is before it can tolerate rain. And then also check Drive Accelerate because it is designed specifically for being rain fast. I will take a monument of St. Louis says, Matt, with the overwhelming majority of my lawns being high in P, would applying CX at a half pound of N be okay instead of starter first? Yeah, at a half pound N, you should be fine. In fact, because of the chicken litter content in that, you could probably even take that up a little higher, up to 3/4 of a pound of N. I think that will work well with your soils being high in P. Go ahead and give it a little extra dose of nitrogen. Funny for putting Carbon X on a rocket and sending it to the moon. In Wisconsin, Kentucky bluegrass and perennial rye and have phosphorus levels off the charts, common for Wisconsin soils. I have a clay silt loam soil using nitrogen only fert. Anything I can apply to help with the high phosphorus? No, but you can collect your clippings. Collecting your clippings and discarding them will help drop your phosphorus levels. By applying nitrogen only, one thing to keep in mind is pay attention to your potassium levels. Especially having Kentucky bluegrass and perennial rye, I would be worried about dollar spot. So in the spring, depending on your nitrogen rates, it may make it easier. If you are not adequate in your potassium levels, to apply a 1-to-1 nitrogen to potassium, N to K ratio, just to make sure that as you drive with nitrogen, you've got plenty of potassium in the tank to continue that part of plant function. Super T8, man, I'm not even gonna go down that road. I'm not gonna do it. I appreciate you bringing it up, but it's not, it has nothing to do with it's not important. It is really not important. I'm here to answer questions about turfgrass and turfgrass products. Speculating over how well other people are doing on YouTube is just I don't know. I'm a really small YouTuber, so I don't know. Pop Music says, dinged up a Bermuda centipede lawn after spraying Bifin XTS Celsius Certainty in 90 plus heat. Bifin Celsius and Certainty. Okay. Could the oil base in the Bifin XTS be the cause of the damage? So spray them sequentially. Pop Music potentially, but Celsius in general, and especially combined with Certainty, is going to give you a little bit of a ding. I wouldn't worry about it. It's just cosmetic and it won't be long lasting. So if it were me, I would just throw it out, just disregard it like nothing ever happened, because in a couple weeks you won't even notice it. But and also specifically to what you said, yes, being an oil-based Bifin XTS, it definitely can exaggerate the effects from the Celsius uncertainty. But I'd say you're probably running like an ounce per thousand, something like that. 802, stop. Thank you, sir. Thank you. The Hungry Southern, we're not going down this road. And 802 Top Hat, please don't do that anymore. We don't need to talk about how. Never mind. I'm not having a bad time. I'm really not. I struggle on different things. I'm super emotional as it is. So, and I get very emotionally invested in what I do. So I don't want anybody to think I'm having a bad time. I'm living the American dream. I mean, if you took a postage stamp of what the American dream is, you could plug me and Carbon Earth into it, and that's exactly what that is. Let's see. How is the fescue holding up in your area? The heat is killer this year. Ready for fall already. I will say this, Eli. Most everywhere in Knoxville right now, the fescue is freaking smoked right now. My fescue is still green and doing okay. I don't know why. The only thing I've put on it this year is chicken litter and dimension. That's the only thing. One section I did spray with Trim It, the growth regulator, and also T-Nex. And that area actually has disease. The rest of the lawn does not have disease and is doing well. It's getting a little dry and crispy right now, but other than that, it's okay. You've mentioned in the past that azoxy can make dollar spot worse. Can you explain why that is? The lawn fix, I honestly don't know why that is. If I had to say, it has to do with the fungicide site of action. So the way it actually takes effect on the particular fungus, right? And for whatever reason, the way it goes after it, attacks it, may go after beneficial fungi that may slow the development of dollar spot. Yeah, I honestly don't know. I'll tell you who would know, and that is a question for Ray. Ray, do you know why azoxy can make dollar spot worse? I do not know from a chemistry perspective. The lawn fix. I apologize. Let's see. Humic DG. Humic DG is a good product. What's up, everybody? Hey, everyone. Can I run PPZ, Azoxy, and Subdue Max all as a preventative? At what rates? Half rates? Yes, you can do that. I would not run Subdue at a half rate unless I think the lowest listed rate is. Oh, look, Ray answered it right there. Perfect. So I think the lowest label rate for Subdue Max is 1 ounce per gallon. I would not drop below that. And I'm going off memory here. So do not quote me on that. But it will have like the lowest applicable rate there. So it'll say you can apply between 1 ounce and 2 ounces per thousand. Those are just made up numbers, but it'll give you like two different rates that you can apply between. The lower rate, yes, you can do that. And that would be a good preventative that would cover you, especially for Pythium. Let's see. Hey, Matt. Being that Pythium lives in the soil, do I have to keep using methanoxam even though I'm renovating it in the fall with new seed? Yes, well, kinda, yes and no. So, yes, Pythium lives in the soil, but you have to remember, in order for it to show up, you have to have the conditions. So you have to have right temperature, right host, and right moisture. When you get those three aligned, then you have favorable conditions for the disease to come about. Given the fact that it lives in the soil and you renovate your grass with new seed, it's not going to do anything for the potential for Pythium to potentially come back. So what I would do is, when you do select your new seed, double check and see how well it is resistant to Pythium. You're probably not going to find anything that has like excellent resistance to Pythium, but see if you can find some varieties that do have some resistance to it. Chances are, Pythium is rare. I don't want to paint the picture that it happens often. And I know, Paul, your case was especially weird because it was cool outside, right? Everybody thinks Pythium root rot. You're thinking extremely high temperatures and moisture, right? So high daytime, high nighttime temperatures plus moisture. So I know you had a rare case. I wouldn't let it get you down and about too much on it. And in the event it does show up, apply mefenoxam curatively, and you should be fine. So, yeah, there you go. Let's see. Do you know of a DI using liquid aeration during high heat? Isn't it okay? Yes, Shane, it is perfectly okay. Do you know of a DIY product that I can use to kill small amounts of moss and not just burn it? I was told Terrasite Pro, but you can only get large amounts at big dollars. Dan, I do not. Ferrous sulfate iron, Super TA, sir, thank you. But that's not necessary. We're not doing it tonight. Thank you. To actually kill it though, the only thing, silver threaded moss, so would be, octane, which is pyroflufen ethyl, or carfentrazone, which is Quicksilver. Is the name Quicksilver. But again, you're going to have to get those at higher quantities, and you're a minimum $120 out of pocket right there. All right, Glenn. Hey man, you be easy. I will let you know when it is on its way. Okay, thanks for the answer regarding phosphite. Still too much. Okay, man. All right. Or an IT engineer that dabbles in HVAC. Can I use dish soap instead of a non-ionic surfactant? Yes, you can. It is technically a non-ionic surfactant. Let's see here. Oh, no good. Dish soap contains ammonia and anionic surfactants. There we go. Do not do that. What would you recommend, Ray, for Dawn? Dawn without, would Dawn be the way to go? I love Dawn encounter stories. We all have them. Yeah, man. Yes, I said keep bacon in your pocket, in a plastic bag, something like that. I use Simple Lawn Solutions liquid aeration. It had great results. Yep, it's a good soil surfactant that they use in that. Guy called into the local gardening show this morning asking about biochar, stating he wants to make his own. Guess what? I was yelling at the speaker. Matt, are you familiar with the product Humicarb? If so, what are your thoughts? From what I understand, it claims to hold on nutrients permanently until they're used. No leaching or runoff. Timothy, that's a pretty bold statement. Christopher Hun, what are you doing? The lawn stripe, stop it! What are y'all doing? I've never heard of Humicarb. If anything that claims to permanently hold on to nutrients until they are used, no leaching or runoff, I'll tell you right now is that's a lie. And Humicarb, just based off the name, sounds like humic and carbon. And I see here it is a soluble product. Humicarb fertilizer. Let's see, soluble nutrient fertilizers are very usable and can reach out. This is especially used for anions such as nitrogen, phosphorus, and sulfur. Yep, anionic, stable humic substances such as those found in Humicarb are well documented to stabilize nutrients in the root zone. Yes, so it's not going, it may stabilize soluble nutrients in the root zone. Sure, any carbon source is going to do a good job of that. That's why people are going to carbon-based fertility as sort of a bridge between synthetics and organic type products. It does have that benefit. However, it's not going to hold it there permanently with no leaching or runoff. It's just it will hold it there longer than if you applied it singularly as a synthetic or conventional fertilizer. But even here, they're saying, they're giving you the options that, well, it's going to do good. It's not perfect, but it's going to do good. So I don't know exactly what's in it. They don't have a label here, but humic substances. It looks to me like it's a humic acid, and everybody knows a lot about humic acids now. You can easily type humic acid into the YouTube search bar, and you've got months of video viewing pleasure to learn about, and that's what it looks like we have here. Trying to see if I can find anything else a little bit higher into it. Biogenesis, nutritional. We got humicarb over here. I don't know, false. I got some neat products. They got a pretty big product line here. But I do not see any label for humicarb. But it says it's derived from humic substances. It's a humic-based product. Humic acids can help hold soluble nutrients in the root zone for a longer period of time. However, 100% efficiency is probably not going to be that way. 3 lines only. Great evening to you. Lush Lawn. So I have a field that lost irrigation for a spell and had some spot die out. Now the preem is broken down and have crabgrass busting loose. Was thinking tenacity and quinclorac with MSO. Great combination, Lushy. Great combination. I like the way you're thinking. Let's see here. Peanut bad dog. Hey, Daniel, what are you doing? What are you doing? It's for the flip-flop Mo Squad. Okay, that one's going to the flip-flop Mo Squad. I'll give you that. Flip-flop Mo Squad. Show your tam lines. Let's see here. Here we go. Frank C. says, when I burned down my lawn for my renovation, well, glyphosate hurt my oak and hickory trees. How much glyphosate per gallon do I need to burn down my existing lawn? I don't know what kind of grass type you have, Frank C., but no, it will not hurt your oak and hickory trees. And I would probably apply it at, if you're using like 41% solution, I would probably spray at like 4 ounces per gallon, something like that. Having trouble with oxalis in St. Augustine, been using Celsius with octane. Any suggestions? Yes, I would use octane with MSM. And that MSM will give you the added advantage on something as woody as densely rooted, woody rooted, and difficult to overall kill like oxalis would. So MSM. Look, Ray came in there too. MSM. Let's see. Is Dismiss okay to use in St. Augustine for both nutsedge and crabgrass? John Banky. Dismiss is not good for crabgrass. It'll burn it. It's not even going to come close to killing it. So I would take that out of the equation. As long as your temperature's okay, yeah, it'll work for nutsedge. But this late into the season, I would be looking at ProSedge, Solero, or Certainty for sedge control. Let's see. Lawn care addiction. The sneaky green. We bounce down to the bottom. Let me get caught up here. I want you to have more streams. Don't need to worry about me, Lushy. I'm fine. Oh, was that you, Lushy, that just came in? That was you, Lushy. I thought it was the lawn stripes. I misread that. Let's see. They made a nice, easy-to-use chart. Updated on the label. There we go. Can you mix Sedgehammer and 3-way together? Yes, you can. However, know that Sedgehammer is going to work with tank mix solutions that are neutral to alkaline, and 3-way is preferred to be in tank mixes that are acidic. So, you probably want to pay really close attention to your pH or your spray solution there when you're attempting to do that, and be probably close to neutral or just slightly acidic in your spray solution. But yeah, you can mix the two together, no problem. The only inference we can make on Matt's green lawn is shed fires cause healthy grass. Oh, here we go. That's a good point here. Gravelback, Mr. Payjack, Slayjack, Payjack. It says, tell that guy from Chicago to stick to Kentucky. Bluegrass versus turf type tall fescue. There we go. I I'm glad to see a fellow Tennessean doing well. What is the latest news in your day job? What is? Let's just real quick. Let's talk about some day news real quick. I don't particularly care or like to talk about my day job on the YouTube channel here, but you know what? I'm proud of what we have. I'm proud of what we do. I'm proud of our team, and you know, I want to do a little bit of an unveil right now, as far as what we have in the pipeline. So, bear with me, y'all. And let me do this. Okay, going in the chat first and foremost, this is what's coming up. We're going to limit a very, very limited release of the X Green product to the DIY market. Alan and Pete can fill y'all in on how that's going to go. It's not going to be something we just stock year-round, full-time, all the time. We are still... You have to understand, we're in the process of scaling. So, you know, second shift, more equipment, more people. We have to build the infrastructure, and that takes time. It takes money, and so we're having to invest a lot of time and money right now into doing that. No, we're a startup. We do not have a lot of money, and it's a fight every step of the way. It's not like we just have a blank checkbook where we can go write checks for whatever we want to do as a company. We have to strategize and strategically plan every step we make moving forward with the company. So, you know, we have to generate revenue if we want to scale. So we're having to navigate this very delicately, very carefully. But for those of you that are asking, I'm announcing it now. We will have a limited release of 818 to the DIY market. Again, it'll be limited, but it is coming out. So ZG asking about a Carbon X version that is lower end. Yes, that will be our X Green. This will be the label that we are releasing with it. Trying to put more information on there for people that need more information to be able to apply it. You can see we claim a few more of the micronutrients that are in it that we don't claim in 2404, just because we want people to see that it is more robust because of the organic matter in it. So yeah, how about that? That's what we're doing on the day job. And as far, that's probably about the extent I can go into right now. Everything else, it kind of parlays into some different things we have going in the background that is mostly just all in planning stage right now. And it doesn't really involve the DIY market a whole lot. So I'm not even going to go down that road. If you subscribe to the newsletters, you've seen what we have coming out. But this is on the front end, you know, for sure happening. There we go. John Ware is here. He's not late to the party. There's no such thing as late to the party. We're partying all night long, baby. I got to find out where I was here and make sure I get all these questions in. 802 Top Hat. What grass type would be best in a Bahia lawn, but mostly full shade? Man, I don't know what you're asking there. A Bahia lawn, mostly full shade. Probably St. Augustine. If you can tolerate Bahia, you could probably tolerate St. Augustine. You might be able to get away with Zorja grass. I would probably measure your light before you make the investment. Because that's a tough one. The Hungry Southerner and Lush Lawns, y'all quit! Quit it! I don't want to scream into the microphone when I say that. Thank you guys, I love you. But seriously, you don't need to do that. Look at Lushy over there. What are you doing, Lushy? Lushy with the steamers! Steamers! So, yeah, I think St. Augustine Zorja would be where I would look. But do light testing first. Test your light levels first. VW1972 Bug, what's going on, sir? Matt, thank you for all your help. Kentucky bluegrass lawn in the Northeast, and this heat wave really beat up my lawn. I've been watering the heck out of it, but it just won't bounce back. Any advice? Patience. It will bounce back, but you just need a little patience. Bear with it. It's genetically not designed to tolerate this, even if you're watering the heck out of it. Temperatures are temperatures. Genetic limits of plants are genetic limits of plants. You can do everything you can to get it to that genetic limit, and you can try and prevent the onset of summer dormancy from coming on, but the fact of it is that once you surpass the limit of the plant, you're past the limit of the plant. You just got to be patient until it comes back down to normal. Burning sheds is the key to carbon. Steve Davis, what would be the best product to control wild violets this time of year? Steve, I did a video that was all about broadleaf weed control, and specifically one of the studies that I dissected was it looked into creeping Charlie as well as wild violets. And let me see if I can find that video, and I'll post a link to it. I don't know, but I'll tell you what the product is, and the product is triclopyr. Triclopyr had the highest efficacy rating in terms of control of broadleaf weeds. Where are we going? Well, I thought I had it readily available. Maybe I don't. Ultimate Guide, broadleaf weed control. Here we go. I got this playing in the background. Sorry if that blew up anybody's ears, but I'm going to throw it in the chat right here. I do not know. Let's see. Steve, I can't remember what kind of, I believe you're in the north and you have cool season grass, but this video that I just threw the link up to right now is designed specifically for that. And the products I look at are designed to control your hard to control broadleaf weeds. So I think that video will do you best, but short answer is triclopyr for wild violets. I will say this time of year, they're going to be extremely difficult to kill. Chances are you're probably best to combine that with quinclorac and a methylated seed oil. Also keep in mind wild violets and triclopyr can drift really easily. So you may want to wait until it's cooler in order to apply. Jake Gump says, since everybody's freaking awesome tonight, I'm going to ask another question. Previous owners of my home planted trumpet vine in the backyard, and it's out of control. It's a pretty easy one, Jake. So with trumpet vine, I would apply triclopyr and fluroxapyr. Those two combined will work very well on woody plants. If you need something even more intense, you could add some, oh look, Garden Earth Guy says it right here. Add MSM. You can do triclopyr, fluroxapyr, followed by an application of MSM if you see any regrowth. That would be a really good one too. Look here, Phil Cagle says crossbow, 2,4-D ester and triclopyr. Yes, that would be a great one too. Jordan Golson on a good grub preventative. Yes, there are lots of them out there. Probably your most effective right now would be acelepryn. ACELEPRYN, acelepryn, chlorothalonil, I can't pronounce the active ingredient. I do not have it memorized, but acelepryn would be your best bet. It's got the longest residual and least amount of resistance of any of the products that are on the market right now currently. Here we go. Gotcha. Just spray the sprouts every time they come up, or can I blanket spray my zoysia to help prevent? Yes, you can blanket spray your zoysia, especially if you're using MSM. Feel free to spray that over your zoysia grass. What should I focus on during the fall in a common Bermuda lawn? Correcting soil deficiencies would be a great one. Getting down your pre-emergence for POA, annua. So typically, this is what my fall program would look like on common Bermuda, right? I would get down my pre-emergent for POA. Then I would probably have to get down a high rate of potassium to build back up potassium levels in the soil. And then I would focus on pH correction because I've always had to deal with low pHs, so I would have to do that. Jacob Ford, sir, I do not even recognize your name. Is this your first time watching? If it is, I appreciate it, but you do not have to do that. It makes me nervous, and it makes me want to sweat, and especially being a new guy, I don't recognize your name. You may go by another name, but I'm not used to seeing it. And I thank you, but you don't need to do that. It makes me uncomfortable. Thank you. Unnecessary. Baby shampoo, methylated seed oil. A couple of weeks ago, one Missouri yard asked, I asked about getting rid of Bermuda in turf-type tall fescue. You said it could take several apps over several years using Ornament. What if I nuked it with glypho? Still take years? Our Missouri yard, yes. So you can, hey, the Hungry Southerner, what are you doing? What are you doing? Sean, come on! I love you guys. I love y'all so much. Jacob, you watched many times. First post this week, man. I'm glad you're here. Really, you do not have to do that. It makes me so uncomfortable. Lushy! Damn it, Aaron! I'm going to kick your ass. I tell you what, I'm gonna tell Cindy you're over here doing this on the live stream. She's gonna be furious. I can hear her now. Aaron, why are you doing that? You're spending too much money on the grass factor. For the guy who asked what I'm drinking yerba mate tea. Green tea. Dude, Sean, stop, man. Come on. Man, it is really... I'm trying to focus on these questions here. Y'all are throwing me for a loop. One Missouri yard, even if you spray glyphosate now, and then you wait for it to begin to regrow, and about 2 weeks later, spray it again. Then you wait for it to regrow, and then spray it again. Even the next year, there's a chance you may see some of that Bermuda come back. Your best bet is probably that approach with glyphosate, getting at least 3 applications of a high rate of glyphosate. So I'm saying 4 ounces per gallon, 4 ounces per 1,000 square feet. I've even done some applications where we're going even higher, where we're going like 12 ounces per 1,000 square feet. And I can't say that I really got any greater effect of any rate over 4 ounces per 1,000 square feet. So, yeah. But, yeah, there's still a chance the next year. You know, I would say if you do 3 applications with glyphosate, it's going to give you about 3 years before you're knee-deep in the battle again. Now, if you watch what Pete does something pretty interesting. So he can get in there with his aerator and really rock the ground, and then you basically fallow. So after manipulating the soil, allow anything to come back up and then spray it again, right? The other thing you can do is that if you do have the ability to fallow the ground, then the day you seed, you can go ahead and apply again and catch anything that's green. We are not saving Gibby's lawn, Sean. That is Gibby's responsibility. He can do it himself. And he's got a great handle on it because he pulled up his roots and he's got white hair showing. He's doing awesome. Will ornament control bent grass? No. I have some really aggressive vines that I'm trying to control. I've done 2 rounds of Roundup and it's damaged a bit, but still alive. Any surfactants that will bust that waxy coating. The Lawn Fix methylated seed oil, but I would use an ester-based formulated herbicide, especially with something like a vine. Humicarb states that it contains a humin, which other humic acids do not contain, as were lost during processing. It holds on to nutrients for stated length of time. Yeah, here, 3 lines only. I'll tell you, this is what's interesting about humin. Humin is good stuff, right? So there are some, the whole reason you don't see a lot of humin still in humic acids that are in a liquid form is that humin is insoluble. So it will tend to act as a gelatinous-like goo in solution. So if it was in the tank, it would be like a goo that would settle on the bottom. It's got lignins in it and lipids and all the other plant material, digested plant material that's in linardite, the source material for humic acid. The human portion is insoluble. There are some companies out on the market right now that have found a way to process and bring that particle size of the human down to a really, really, really small particle size so they can get it back into the humic acid. And then what other people will do is just take that human, dehydrate it, like freeze dry it, and then put it into a really small particle size. So that way, when it goes into the water, it can still be dispersed with the humic acid, but it is not necessarily going to clog it at the rate it would be if you left a bunch of human in your extraction. Human is not going to have any greater effect than humic acid will. It's got a little higher carbon content, and as we know, carbon is going to be the heavy lifter for holding things in that root system. But it's the rate of carbon that's going to be going back into it, so you may get an additional 3% carbon in your gallon of spray solution. Is that 3% going to be a difference between just running your straight humic acid? I don't know. At that point, when you're talking about 6% in liquid solution, you've got, we'll say there's 2 pounds or a pound of actual solubilized material in a gallon of water, and you've got an additional 3%, you're talking about still just tiny, tiny, tiny amounts of carbon at that point, right? So when you're applying liquid and you're only able to get that much material in solution, you want to use the most biologically available part of it, and that would be the humic acid and the fulvic acid portion of it when you put it into solution, right? Because those materials are much more reactive, much more active at really small concentrations versus human, which just has the soil building component with the carbon content in it. I hope I'm not talking, I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible, right? So human will act as like a storage house for things in the soil. Humic acid can have that effect too, but it also has the biostimulant effect of mimicking auxin in the plant and also chelating things to give a more efficient uptake. Pinkerton, you stop it. Stop it. I see you over there. You stop it. I love the 818. So yeah, I mean, it's great that they've got human in solution. There's some other liquid manufacturers that do it out there, like Actigro they have a really, I do not know the details of the way they process their material, but what they actually do is they take that human, and after their processing of micronization, they actually get it into their humic acid mixes. So, and I'll say this too, Actigro's got fantastic results. Paul's Prime Cuts has used a lot of Actigro, and he absolutely raves over it. And the research I've done on the ag side of what they do, they've got great success in their trials in ag. So it sounds very similar in that sense. I'll do some digging on it. 3 lines only. If you shoot me an email at thegrassfactor@gmail.com, as I do some digging into it, I can share all that information with you. So yeah, there we go. Let's see here. And real quick while I'm doing this, and I know we're coming up on 10 o'clock, but I'm going to keep running. I'm going to stay a little late because I missed the last 2 weeks. And so we started a little early. We're going to run a little long. Real quick, if anybody does want to get a hold of me, I'll give you a couple of ways to do that. Actually, I'll give you 4. And I will say, if I haven't got back to your email, I will. It may take me 3 weeks to get back to your email, and I apologize. But right now, at this point in my life, I'm as busy as I've ever been, and I try to make time to answer the Grass Factor emails, but I have to say, my family and my day job take priority at this current moment. So when I do have additional time, I do answer emails. It just may take me a while to get to it. Or you can hop over to thelawndiscord.com. If I've got free time during the day, this is typically where I'm hanging out. This is the show before the show and the show after the show, thelawndiscord.com. It's a private server of nothing but grass nerds like me and all of my friends over there that we all have a good time. And Gibby's our moderator, and he does all kinds of fun stuff for us. Thank you, Gibby. Thegrassfactor@gmail.com is my email. Be sure to send me an email and provide as much information as possible. You do not have to ask to send pictures. I highly encourage you to send pictures with any of the questions you asked. And you can find me on Instagram, where I do a little bit more divulging into my private life. So if you want to see more of the behind the scenes stuff of the Grass Factor, you can do that over at Instagram. Or if you want to catch me out in public and publicly shame me, or whatever whatever your desired intention may be, you can go to thelawnforum.com and find me over there at the Grass Factor. I lurk over there. I typically do not participate because the guys over there know what they're doing, and I don't have a whole lot to talk to them about because they typically know more than I do on a given subject. So there we go. Now back to the show. Poa Constrictor, look at here. Your neighbor here in Middle Tennessee. That's what I'm talking about, man. Welcome, Richard. Go Vols. Even if you're not a Vol fan. Hey, that's all right. That's all right. We got a Tennessee brother here. We got it in our hearts, you know what I'm saying? Here we go. Poa Constrictor, Knockout, Quackgrass, and Cool Season Turf. I don't know Trimec M. I would probably start with Ornamec, Over the Top, Fluazafop. So I would probably go that route. Let's see. Whoa, we jumped down. Whoa. Man, we got a lot of stuff coming in. I need to get caught up on all these questions. Woo, look at this. There's a lot of stuff coming in. I have Bermuda invading my Zone 6B Cool Season mix. Is it going to die off in the fall, or should I use some type of control product? Bermuda will not be killed by the fall. It will go dormant. It's not going to kill it. So we'll come back the next year. So like Ray said, Pilex or Tenacity to stress your Bermuda. That's a good start. Also here, look at this. Toby Howard. Good way to get rid of Bermuda and turf tall pest could be Fusillade plus Turfly and Ester. Here we go. Hey, Matt, out on the lake, but I wanted to stop in and say hi. Let's catch up soon. Hey, Evan. Glad you're here, buddy. Let's see. Humicarb, 10%. Humic acid, 90%. Other ingredients according to the label. Yeah, so it's concentrated humic acid with human. So, yeah, sounds about right. Hey, Matt, should we continue to put down fungicides through the summer or pick it up again in fall overseeding? Thanks for the show. Gene, it depends on how aggressive your pressure is. So if you've still got intense disease pressure, so adequate moisture, adequate temperature, and grass, then you may need to continue to put it out through the summer. If you don't, then don't apply it, right? That's wasting money, right? And if you don't need to apply it, don't apply it. And during fall overseeding, again, if you've got the conditions present for disease to develop, apply it. If not, don't. Typically, I never had to apply fungicide during fall overseeding. In fact, I've probably sprayed like 3 overseeds in my entire career with fungicide on residential lawns. Growing in L93 bentgrass, that was a little different. But with turf-type tall fescue, I rarely found the need. The few times I have usually have been... Kevin, stop it! Super T, stop it! Okay, let me get my head wrapped around this again. Yeah, so rust. When rust would come in and it would look really aggressive, then I would go ahead and spray it. Otherwise, I wouldn't. Hey, Matt, turf tall fescue, Southern Illinois, first season after a reno. Been cutting at 3.5, 4 inches. Grass is looking good. I've noticed some areas laying down. Nutrient deficiency or mower not have enough fat. It could be both. It could just be summer stress. There's lots of different reasons. If I had to guess, you're in Southern Illinois. You're going through a record heat wave right now. It's probably just the heat. So I just keep doing what you're doing, and it will stand back up as it keeps going. Dude, Sean, I'm coming after you. I'm coming down there. I'm bringing my kids, and my son and myself are going to jump on you and put you in a headlock. And thanks, Sean. Man, seriously, dude. You guys. How can you tell when Pro Diamond is broken down to the point where new seed can be planted? It seems like in times of drought, the Pro Diamond would take much longer to break down. It may seem like that, Army, but here's the deal. In times of drought, it doesn't seem like in times of drought, it actually accelerates the breakdown of Pro Diamond. Things may not germinate in times of drought because there's no water for anything to germinate. When it gets times of drought, soil will become hydrophobic. It's going to repel water. It's going to be hard for it to get established. It's going to take more water to build up your soil structure. Send Matt to space camp. That's funny. Can you over-apply humic acid? What would the side effects be if so? Yeah, you could. I don't know what that rate is. It would just be massive amounts of humic acid. It would just be massive amounts. And probably what would happen is that you would get a hydrophobic layer that would build in the soil from the lignins, the lignin buildup, and the lipids in it would create a hydrophobic layer. But that rate, golly, I don't know, maybe 200 pounds per 1,000, like 200 actual pounds of humic acid per 1,000 square feet. Maybe that'd be per acre. No, that'd be like per 1,000 square feet, 200 pounds. I'm not even sure. Yeah. Here's the thing, though. When you start going way over label rate, you hit a point of diminishing return where just using more of it isn't really doing anything for you except just, leaking money out of your wallet. So you hit a threshold with it. Terry Finch, thank you, sir. Thank you. OSU Turfman, yes, lipids and humic like soap. So you can take lipids and react them with either KOH or sodium hydroxide lye. And when you mix those two together, you get saponification. So it's like forming soap. So you can do the same thing. Like there's potassium humate soap out on the market that you can get in a bar for your skin and stuff. You can do the same thing for like grass, right? So humic acid that has more of that human content in it that we were talking about earlier. Human, when combined with KOH, can have saponification can take place, and it's almost like a soapy-like material. But Army football, how can you tell when it's broken down? Typically, you can tell it's broken down. It's just hard to say. I'm not sure you could really navigate that to be able to say for certain. Here's one thing you could do is create a new seed bed and leave it bare and see if weeds start growing on it. That would be a great way to tell. But if you're agitating that soil surface, then usually you can seed into it. I've seen people accidentally apply prodiamine. I've never done this, but I've seen prodiamine accidentally applied and then a renovation take place and the grass still do okay because the soil surface was just disturbed so much. Let's see. Let's keep jumping down here. Matt, can I get on the limited supply? I'm not going to have any option over this. All of that will go through Pete and Alan. So I have no control over that. Matt, can you give a Cliff Notes explanation of growing degree days? Not really. So growing degree days is going to be a record of the period of time that the grass is growing between two temperature points, between a low and a high temperature. If it falls in between that, then a value will be applied based on what that temperature spread is. So the higher the temperature, the higher the value will be applied towards that growing degree day. And it's used to dictate the amount of photosynthesis and potential vegetative growth to take place, and can also be used to potentially forecast nutrient exhaustion of turfgrass in the soil. That's about as Cliff Notes as I can do. When is NC State carbon sequestration study due? That is a great question. I do not know. Any update on melatonin for drought stress? I have not been drought stressed, so I have not been able to test it anymore. So unfortunately, right now I've got no answers for it because we've gotten lots of rain here this summer. It's hot and rainy, so no drought stress really to be able to continue to test. Look at these 818s coming in lushy. Bring the hex green. I have fescue blades dying from tip down. No lesions. Irrigated. Ran half rate azoxy and prop 2 weeks before. Any ideas? Is the scotcha on the common probability list? Yes, Brett, it could be a scotcha leaf blight. It also could just be heat stress. So heat stress will typically call dying of grass blades from heat down, from the tip down, just where it is not enjoying that situation that it's in. So I wouldn't stress over it, and you're not going to get rid of a scotched leaf blight with fungicide all that successfully. Really what you need to do is just pray for cooler temperatures. Can I use Carbonex as starter for overseeding this fall, Pennsylvania? Yes, you can. You can. As long as you have plenty of phosphorus in your soil, yeah. You are not going to cause any problems with it. Watched many times for, oh yeah, there we go. I have common ivy growing like mad across my lawn and up my trees. What can I use to kill it and save my trees and lawn? Robert, I would pull it all manually off your trees, and then anything on the ground treat with triclopyr ester when temperatures permit, because remember, it will volatilize and it can take out the leaves off your tree. So wait till it cools down. Look, Ray said right there, triclopyr this fall. Do they make anything to kill tall fescue out of Kentucky bluegrass? Have too much to spray. Spray the bunches of it. Total renovation, maybe. Probably. Yeah, I'm not going to make any recommendations for that. There are some that are out there. What was the old one? Chlorosulfuron. What was the name of that product? I can't remember. The active ingredient was chlorosulfuron, though. There's Ray. Ray got him taken care of. So let's see. I'm gonna hop down here. New product idea: Soylent Green. Now with more humans. The Lawn Stripes Connor has put me in a headlock with no shirt on, so I've been there. What did you use in place of filler in your ferts? How were you able to do that? Why do others use a filler in the product? Does it provide a benefit? No, a filler is typically done to make weight, right? So if you're trying to target a particular analysis, say you want an analysis of a 16-4-8, right? Then you need a certain amount of monoammonium phosphate, you need a certain amount of sulfate of potash, you need a certain amount of urea in that product to meet that analysis. The problem is that if that's that may only take up 30% of your bag. And, you're trying to deal with a 50-pound weight, right? So what are you going to put in to make the rest of that fertilizer bag weigh 50 pounds? Because you've already got your analysis and it only accounts for 20 pounds. Then you blend in 30 pounds of like limestone filler that's ground to a size that matches the size of your fertilizer. It's low cost. It's extremely cheap. So that way you're paying for your nutrients, right? But unfortunately, that 50 pounds still has to be met, so you add that filler. It's a low-cost solution to keep your cost per bag down. So 99% of the time, that's limestone. What we do is, so instead of blending materials in a bag, we try to homogenize as much as possible. So like if you're looking at the label of the X-Green, right? I just posted it in the chat if you want to check it up there. You can see that all of this that we have in the bag right here is homogenized. So every prill in the bag contains 8% nitrogen, 1% phosphate, 8% potash, 10% sulfur, 4% iron, 1% calcium, 0.5% magnesium, of 0.5% of manganese and zinc. So instead of using a filler, right? So that's all a homogenized material. Anything that does not directly contribute to the analysis, which is right here listed under contains non-plant food ingredients. And we had, this is what's interesting, labeling laws, you now cannot put, well, you can in most states, but because California and Oregon, and we were trying to blanket this label across all 48 states, we could not list seaweed or kelp extract in the product. If we listed kelp extract, we would have to list it as a plant growth regulator, and we could not sell it in California or Washington or Idaho without an EPA registration. And that's fine. We can go through and get an EPA registration. It's just a painstaking paperwork process that would cost maybe an additional, $5,000 to $10,000. And as a company, honestly, we just can't afford it right now. So we didn't want to put kelp on it. But it's basically double the rate that's in Carbonex. So it's about 1% humic acid. So to answer the question, we did not look for an 818 analysis. We just wanted a 1-to-1 into potassium ratio, and then we could reach that. But any of that doesn't make that weight, we make up with hardwood biochar and humic acids, and also kelp, even though we can't list it. So there is no filler in X Green. Everything in that product is designed to directly impact the plant. So the hardwood biochar would be a fixed carbon source, like the humans are designed to hold nutrients in the root zone, anions, anion exchange capacity. That's why we have biochar in there. We have humic acids to offer the biostimulant effect on the plant to drive roots. We have the pasteurized poultry litter to offer a more diverse load of nutrients and amino acids to the plant, as well as a mineralized nitrogen source, right? So it has to be organically broken down through soil microbes. Then, of course, we have potassium sulfate, ferrous sulfate is going to be our iron, and ammonium sulfate would be an extra kick of the nitrogen. So there's no filler in it. And because it's all homogenized, if you have, I'll have to do a video about homogenization, but if you have 100 prills that go down on a square foot, and we look at this analysis in 818, that would mean in 100 prills, I would have 8 prills of nitrogen, 1 prill of phosphate, 8 prills of potash, 10 prills of sulfur, 4 prills of iron, 1 prill of calcium, half a prill of magnesium, 5/10ths of a prill, 5/100ths of a prill of manganese, and 5/100ths of a prill of zinc. Whereas with with the X Green, the 818, every prill contains that material. And it's all greens grade, right? So there you go. Meet me at the Shell station off the highway. All right, here we go. Humic acid with P is the only tank mix that I have come across that is a no-no, as the P is not available during exchanges of nutrient ions for plant uptake. That's correct, 3 lines only. So for a true starter, now here's the thing, just because humic acid combines with P doesn't mean it's forever non-available, but it can cause it to become, the P to become insoluble or take P out of solution. So typically what is recommended there to inhibit humic acid tying up P is that you would combine it with fulvic acid. Fulvic acid with phosphorus would be a way to ensure solution and ultimately plant uptake, especially if you're trying to go the foliar route. I've got a clay soil that cracks when dry. Can I brush dry soluble? You guys! What are y'all doing? Lushy's over here sneaking in again? My goodness. Y'all can probably see me scrolling up here. Lushy, man, I'm telling you, dude. And this is you, Sean. This is for instead of the filler in X Green. Where am I going in this? I don't even know where I'm at anymore. Steve, you're very welcome for the conversation, sir. Call anytime, man. I have no idea where I'm at. Need more tip slips for X grain. There we go. Man, I'm trying. I'm just like, I am lost in the world right now. Any suggestions for attacking problem grasses? Have clumping fescue, quackgrass, and crabgrass at least. I don't know what your turf type is, Jason, but I'm assuming you have a cool season grass with that in it. For crabgrass, Pilex is great, Tenacity is great, but for the quackgrass, you'd probably have to run fluazafop, and for clumping fescue, you would probably have to round up it out. Let's see. Wait, we were starting over roll call. Had hairy bittercrest like crazy last winter. How can I prevent? Stop it next year. Simazine or simazine and atrazine would be a good choice, Terry Finch. I know you got. Don't you have centipede, Terry? Or am I drawing a blank here? I think you got centipede, right? So yeah, you can make like a late winter application or even a early winter application of simazine, and that will be a good way to prevent that. Also, a dormant application of metsulfuron methyl would probably do you just as well too. All right, there's that. What is it? Marco Canchola, you don't need to do that, Marco! Marco! Sean. Oh, here we go. I've got clay soil that cracks when dry. Can I brush soluble 70% acid into the cracks, or will it tie up nitrogen like uncharged biochar? Kevin McCarthy, I guess, if you've got clay soil and you're worried about cracking, unfortunately, that's just kind of the nature of clay soil. If you want it to prevent from cracking, you would probably have to introduce more loamy material into it. Brushing soluble 70% humic acid into the cracks probably will not offer enough flocculation to alleviate that. It might. It would be worth a test, but I wouldn't be concerned about it tying up nitrogen like uncharged biochar. Uncharged biochar is just super reactive because it is purely fixed carbon, right? Whereas humic acid is an organic acid that has carbon, but it's an actual solution of acids, organic acids, right? So completely different function in the soil and way less risky in that sense. Leslie, if you would have sent $818, I would have sent you that immediately. I would never accept that. That is ridiculous. Hang on, Ray. It got flagged there because you posted a link to a video. I had to accept it. So Aaron Taylor, Ray just commented there with a video for you to watch. Let's see. Calcium, and get that pH down, Kevin McCarthy. Yeah, that's the other thing too, Kevin, is calcium is a good flocculator. Oh, 7.8 sodium low, mag a little high. Okay, calcium nitrate would be your friend here, but you also want to apply it. This is a Ray favorite, right? So citric acid at 1 pound to 2 pounds per thousand with plenty of water. Can't stress that enough. If you do not water it in immediately and apply it with high volume, you're going to smoke the lawn. So do not do that without an ability to water it immediately. Robert Curatolo said, I thought Cheech and Chong were the only experts on grass. There's a new generation of grass experts, and we're talking about the lawn, Robert. We are talking about the lawn. What's going on, Corporate HQ? I hope all is all well with you. I was giving lawn advice to neighbors the other day and realized I literally learned everything from you and LCN. Oh, you big time. Thank you, sir. Thank you. That 10% sulfur would do wonders on my Florida sand. Won't call it a soil. Strike it rich. Here's the things that sulfur is not elemental. That is sulfate sulfur, so it will not mineralize into sulfuric acid if you are looking for a reduction in your pH. It would probably over extended periods of time of application have that effect, but it does have enough ammonium sulfate in it to temporarily drop that soil surface to aid in the uptake of the ferrous sulfate. But as far as like having a remediated effect long-term, year over year, it's not going to have the same effect that elemental sulfur will. If you're trying to bring your pH down, still apply elemental sulfur. Don't expect 818 to cure that. That's not what it's designed to do. It's designed to be an NPK fertilizer that's efficient and relatively long-lasting. EPA registrations cost way more than a few thousand. No Carbon X or GCF stuff allowed in Hawaii either. Same reason. Yep. Tumescent. John Pinkerton. Tumescent. Has a beautiful dark cocoa. Scott's Edgeguard setting listed. Sweet. You're in Tennessee? Yes. So I'm in Knoxville, Tennessee. We have our biomass processing facility here in Tennessee, but our manufacturing plant is in Calhoun, Kentucky. We manufacture everything in-house. We have a homogenization, a granulation facility where we actually take in raw materials and we granulate it into a homogenized fertilizer on site ourselves. Yeah, I tried to include more of some other products with the label there, since I knew this was going to be a limited release to. He thought that the stream. No, that was just me getting lost in the world. It happens sometimes. Showcase herbicide safe for use as pre-post-emergent in southern St. Aug Bermuda mix. I do not know Showcase herbicide, to be honest. I have never heard of that. Let me see real quick while I've got this up. It is from Dow, and the active ingredient, here's the EPA registration, is, trifluralin. I honestly do not know. I do not see turf grass on the label. So I would not be able to give you any kind of recommendations on that because it's not labeled to spray on turf. I got landscape ornamentals, Christmas trees, container grown ornamentals, field grow ornamentals. Nothing about any kind of grasses. We got non-crop lands, ground covers, perennials. Nothing about turf grass. So I honestly have no idea, John Holmes. That's way out of my trifluralin. Showcase. Oh, it's all a post-emergent. Trifluralin, isoxaben, and oxyfluorophene. Yeah, man, I do not know. Chicago area. Oh, look, oxyfluorophene will fry the grass. There you go. Chicago area. My shed goes from 120 degrees in the summer to well below freezing in the winter. I store my liquid NXT products plus herbicides in there. Should I use up my stash for the fall or okay to freeze? I would not let your herbicides freeze. Do not allow that to happen. I did burn it down. Ken says, hello, Matt. My question got skipped, but I don't know if anyone has answered it. Can I use grass out to kill Bermuda? Let me see. Grass out herbicide label. Let's see what we got. What this is. Clethodim. I believe clethodim is not labeled for turf grass either. I don't have any experience with it, so I'm not going to be able to give you an answer on that. Probably Ray could, but I personally do not have experience with it, so I would not be able to help there. All right, guys, we are running into 10:25. Thank you for keeping it real, Sean. And this is what we are going to do. So this is the big announcement of the night. This is coming up that I'm announcing. It will be in a limited release. We will offer the X Green product for all the DIY people. It will be available through the exact same way you purchase it now. It will be made available, and everybody will be, given adequate amount of time to make the purchase when it goes. Because once it goes, it's going to be a short release, and then we'll be done. Until, because as a startup, we're having to learn all of this as we go. We are not 10-year fertilizer manufacturers. We're having to learn this industry, from the ground up. We're not a $1 billion publicly traded company with tons and tons of money to dump into research and scaling and product development and marketing. We don't have any of that. We have a checkbook that's this big, and we dumped all of that money into building this facility, and so the rest of it, we're just having to do it as we can go. So if we're rough around the edges, I apologize. We try to be as polished as possible, but it's there's two of us that handle the day to day, and that's me and my partner John Borden. And if it wasn't for him, none of this would happen. And so it's every day is a struggle, but we work really hard at it. And for the people that wonder who we pay to promote our material, right now we do not pay anybody. We have never paid anybody. What we did offer, because we did not want to release Carbon X and any of our products to the DIY market. We didn't want to release it to the DIY market because it's unknown to us. Alan was the one who actually said, because you don't want to take it to the DIY market, let me take it to the DIY market, and I can help you sell it there. So that was the agreement we made, was that we said, okay, Alan, since we don't want to handle it, you have to handle all of it. It's entirely your responsibility. It's entirely Pete's responsibility to handle the DIY market. The only thing we'll do is supply you if we have the supply to be able to do it. And so for we don't pay Alan to promote the product, right? He and Pete have to handle all of it themselves. So warehousing, shipping, and packaging, breaking down pallets, getting them in 50-pound bags. I mean, they have to handle all of that. We did not offer any bit of support whatsoever. So, I mean, kudos to those guys, because they're the ones that really made it happen. It wasn't us. It was not us at all. It was them. We don't pay anybody to do this. We are 100% winging this, bootstrapping it the way we go. The one thing I do understand is I do understand fertilizer formulation, and I'm not going to say X Green and Carbon X are the best fertilizers out there. If you've been paying attention to anything I say all along, every product is a tool in the toolbox. Every product has a specific function or a void in a program that it can fill. I'm never going to say my product is better than that or that product is better than that one. It doesn't exist like that. It is purely designed to be a tool in a toolbox. When you look at X Green, we call it extra green because of the additional iron content in it, and it's designed to be a 1-to-1 in decay ratio with the idea of stress management in mind. So you apply it going into periods of stress to help hold color and performance into that period of stress. You apply it when you're coming out of stress or you're in peak stress to maintain and help move through stress. Again, it's not a magic cure. It's not perfect. Yes, it'll be the same process for LCN and GCI Cell and Carbon X. I did not have any involvement in that DIY release, and it'll be the same thing with X Green. I will not have any involvement with it. It's totally on LCN and GCI. It's just not going to be made available until we get them all the material we're going to give them. And that's all we're going to do. We're just going to give them that amount of material, and that's going to be it. So they will handle the announcement of all that, and nobody's going to be kept secret about it. And I'm just going to be the first to announce it right now that it is going to come to the DIY market for certain. So anyway, like I said, we're not a publicly traded company. We do not have open wallets and checkbooks to get all this stuff done. We're winging it. And we're working as hard as we can to be successful. And it's not, the thing about Carbon X is that it's a different way to apply a fertilizer, right? So it's a bridge fertilizer that has organic matter, and we include the biochar in there to have the carbon component to help maintain that nutrient load in the root zone as long as possible. It also will help mineralize that organic matter from the chicken litter a little bit faster. Plus, it has just a quick release synthetic component. So It's designed to be a slow release fertilizer that has a quick kick and then some extended duration. 818 is designed to have a quick kick with extended duration, not as long or powerful as with the surge growth that you get from Carbon X, but it will probably have a little bit darker color, and it will probably help when you're in periods of stress. It's truly designed for stress. So, and for those of you that are deficient in potassium, it's an easy way to get your potassium levels up without having to slam down a whole bunch of nitrogen too. So anyway, y'all, that's going to wrap up the show. For those of you that want to get in contact with me, if I could not get to your question tonight and you would like to ask me a question, hop on over to the Discord, lawndiscord.com. We hang out over there sometimes before the show, sometimes after the show. I'm around there, at least a couple times a week. And I will tell you, Ray Greendock is over there, and he answers questions nonstop. We've got a great group of guys in there, and it is a recovery group for people in their 30s to really from their mid to late 20s into their 50s, where we all kind of congregate and we talk about how cool we were in high school or at one point or of another in our lives. I love all of y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in. Also, thegrassfactor@gmail.com. The Grass Factor on, yes, I'm still talking G-Man, on Instagram and on the Lawn Forum at the Grass Factor. And if you haven't, hit the subscribe button. That's what lets me know to keep going in this. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I had a great time, and I love all y'all. Y'all take it easy, and have a good one.